FM 107.9 and AM 1240 WBEJ Radio. We have Ann Machen Pritchard with us on the telephone. She's been with us in studio before. Ann, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Great to be back in my hometown of Elizabethton, Tennessee, in the East Tennessee mountains. I love it.
Absolutely. Ann, of course, is a author, illustrator, and a songwriter, and she's written several children's books, and matter of fact, is one of the winners in the 50 Great Writers That You Should Be Reading 2013-2014, presented by the AuthorsShow.com. That's quite an honor.
Yes, I feel really good, and I want to thank everybody out there, the whole USA and the whole world that voted for me, because it was a voting process all around.
Tell me a little bit about your background and why you chose this particular writing. A lot of this has to do with character building and that type of thing with young people, right?
Yes. What started the whole thing, I'm really passionate about drug and alcohol addiction. So I first wrote a song called Drugs and Alcohol, and of course it's on iTunes and all around the world right now. But I kept struggling with, all the rehab places people are going to, they don't get to spend enough time. And I said the best thing to prevent drug and alcohol addiction is probably to work closer with those kids, age 2 to 12, to make sure they feel like they have a belonging and a sense of, happiness, and that somebody loves and cares about them. If they get their needs met as a child, then hopefully we won't get so much of the drug and alcohol addiction and later on in life. If they can, get really educated, learn how to read, make positive choices at young ages, that's going to help them along their whole life.
Absolutely. I know the first books that you wrote, Feel the Pill and Friends Making Positive Choices, all of those were really pushing more toward the younger reader, right?
Yes, because a child really develops pretty much their personalities from age 2, 3 to 5. So I wanted to, get started with the younger ones, because if they know about positivity and like when they're going through issues in life, they can learn to communicate better in a positive manner. Like right now, I feel really honored because the first story in that book, called Dan Talks It Out, is actually computer animated of the cartoons now. And if anybody Googles Dan Talks It Out, they can find the video or go to my website, www.cafepress.com/mountcreations. I think it's going to help a lot of kids, and some of the psychologists up in Minnesota, where I actually live now in Minneapolis, said they'd like to even use that video for their practice, because, it's really a positive thing to help the whole world out.
And I know, too, that another follow-up book was The Spirit of 16, and there you have gone a little bit up in age to try to deal with that group.
Yeah, this book, The Spirit of 16, is more for the teenage group on up to adults. What that book is about, it's based on a true story of love, hate, ruthless betrayal, fear, faith, forgiveness, and courage. And I really recommend all the parents out there to be looking out in the future this year for The Spirit of 16 for their teenagers, and even for the parents themselves. I know they would enjoy it.
We're talking to Ann Machen Pritchard, and she's originally from the Elizabeth and Carter County area. She also has a book called Val's World, featuring the Family Unity Roundtable. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, this book is really special to my heart, and I wrote it by kind of accident, because I had a couple of my granddaughters over for lunch, and I said, well, let's play a game, after the lunch. We're going to just talk about how our day's gone, and, what do you need help with?
Right.
Do you have some things you want to talk about just personally for yourself? And they were really so eager to talk. And I said, this is not just a game anymore. Every family should, make a meal together. So I put recipes all in the back, so, they'd have something to go by to start with if they don't cook, And, fix a family meal together and sit around and talk afterwards if they, have anything they have to get out of their system, because I don't believe in, especially kids, bottling things up inside, because then, if they don't get answers to their issues resolved at a young age, then they're going to carry it on, to the later on in life, and that's when you get into the negative things. So I'm really passionate about this. It's also a story geared towards education of kids, but it does take the whole family unit to not only educate the children, but to help them with their life skills so they can be productive and successful as they get older.
Once again, this all comes back to teaching young people to read, stay in school, get a good education, and learn positive communication skills, right?
That's correct.
Tell us how the public can access your books and other works by Ann Machen Pritchard.
They could either just Google my name, Ann Machen, M-A-C-H-E-N, Pritchard, P-R-I-T-C-H-A-R-D, or they go direct to my website at www.cafepress.com/MAMP Creations. That's M-A-M-P Creations. I have videos, and even they can hear the Drugs and Alcohol song on there.
I know that everyone has either a mentor or somebody that was very special to them in school. What teacher actually touched your life in order to make you go into this particular profession?
I have two teachers, matter of fact. The one that really helped me get the best education possible and learn how to study the way that I can, because, all kids, they don't study all the same. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
Her name is Miss Margaret Hampton. I just love her like a mother. And I was so excited because she was still in Elizabeth, and the last trip I was here a few years back for a book signing, and she was so proud that she made a difference in my life, and it was just so emotional. I just said, I love you. You really saved my whole life, Miss Margaret Hampton. And the next one is Miss Gentry. When I was a senior in high school, she gave us like a paragraph of a little story she started, just to give us an idea to write a story. And she said, well, we'll first start with maybe a sentence, and you make a paragraph. She wrote the sentence and said, make a paragraph. I couldn't stop writing. I made hundreds of paragraphs into a whole story, and then she was so impressed, and she took it home with her over the weekend, and she said, oh, my goodness, you should actually be a writer, Miss Ann Machen. At the time, she said, you really have the talent. So I just took up on it, that it must be my thing, and I've been writing ever since.
And once again, give the folks the website where they can get your children's books and the music as well.
At www.cafepress.com/MAMP Creations, and that's M-A-M-P for MAMP.
Well, it's always good talking with you, and like I say, last time we talked, you were in studio with us, but this time via the telephone, but always good talking with you, catching up with Ann Machen Pritchard from Ridgely, Elizabeth, and Carter County, and now living in Minnesota. And she, once again, is an author, illustrator, and songwriter, and we appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And have a great day today.
Thank you, and you too. And I want to say hi to all my Elizabethton High School class of 1973. It's great seeing you all, and hello to everybody in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
Appreciate that. Ann Machen Pritchard, our guest this morning here at FM 107.9 and AM 1240 WBEJ Radio. It's 13 minutes before the top of the hour.